The tortilla chip aisle has a quality crisis that nobody's talking about. Walk into any grocery store and you'll find 30 different brands screaming about authenticity, restaurant-style crunch, and premium ingredients. Meanwhile, half of them taste like salted cardboard and the other half fall apart before they reach your mouth. Here's what nobody tells you. Most tortilla chip brands are banking on you being too hungry or too rushed to actually taste what you're buying. They rely on flashy bags and childhood nostalgia while delivering texture that ranges from styrofoam to wet newspaper. So today we're ranking 8 tortilla chip brands from absolute worst to actually worth your money, because life's too short to waste $5 on chips that taste like regret. Hit that subscribe button because we're about to save you from some seriously disappointing snack decisions. Number 8, from the ground up cauliflower tortilla chips. Launched during the grain-free craze as a healthier alternative to corn chips, From the ground up built their entire brand around putting vegetables where they don't belong. At $3.79 for 4.5 ounces, you're paying 84 cents per ounce for what tastes like a science experiment gone wrong. The execution is a masterclass in how cauliflower ruins everything it touches. What you actually get are chips made from cauliflower and cassava that feel more like crackers than tortilla chips. The texture is the crime here. These are brittle, breaking into shards that turn to mush the moment you start chewing. The taste delivers an almost rancid aftertaste that lingers, with cauliflower flavor dominating everything in the worst possible way. And get this, they're undersalted to the point of being bland, which somehow makes the vegetable taste even worse. At 84 cents per ounce, these are among the most expensive chips tested within the smallest bags. Reviewers consistently describe the aftertaste as, quote, almost rancid in taste and very off-putting. The cauliflower inclusion creates a texture that's described as more like a cracker than a chip. Bottom line, these aren't practical for any use. Too expensive for parties, too weird tasting for snacking. This brand exists purely to capitalize on the cauliflower everything trend and paleo diet followers desperate for chip alternatives. They're banking on health-conscious consumers accepting terrible texture and strange aftertaste in exchange for vegetable content. The reality is that cauliflower has no business being in tortilla chips, and this product proves it. You're paying premium prices for a rancid science experiment disguised as health food. When the best thing about your chips is that they're made from vegetables, you created something nobody asked for and nobody should buy. Number 7, Siete grain-free tortilla chips. Launched by Siete Family Foods in the mid-2010s as the grain-free movement's answer to tortilla chips, these cassava and coconut flour creations have racked up 4.8 stars on Amazon. But here's the thing, those ratings come almost exclusively from paleo dieters who have no other options. If you're not following a restrictive diet, these are just expensive disappointment. Made with cassava flour and coconut flour instead of corn, these create a hybrid texture that's neither here nor there. Texture has been described by testers as odd, semi-mushy, and styrofoam-esque. It literally turns to mush when you chew. The taste is better than from the ground up, but still fundamentally wrong. Cassava creates a starchy, off flavor that reminds you these aren't real tortilla chips. Construction fails despite thickness. These crumble and break when faced with any substantial dip. 130 calories and 150 milligrams of sodium, 7% of daily value, per serving of 19 chips. Priced at $3.79 for 5 ounces, that's 76 cents per ounce. Multiple taste tests describe these as having, quote, the texture is so wrong and making testers wonder if there are any benefits to eating grain-free chips. Amazon shows 94% give 4 or 5 stars, but dig deeper and it's all from paleo followers. Regular corn chips cost half as much and taste infinitely better. Siete targets the paleo, grain-free, and gluten-free communities specifically, not the general snacking population. They succeed in their niche through lifestyle positioning and clever marketing, not through superior taste or texture. They're counting on diet followers accepting inferior quality because they literally have no other options in their restrictive eating plans. Unless you're medically required to avoid corn, these are $7 worth of styrofoam cosplay. What starts as buying chips for health purposes ends as wondering why you're paying premium prices to feel like you're eating packing. Material. Number 6, Signature Select White Corn Tortilla Chips. Safeway and Albertsons house brand launched Signature Select, is their budget-friendly tortilla chip option, pricing them at just $2.29 per bag. Multiple professional taste tests have ranked these dead last among all chips tested. The problem isn't the price, it's that even at rock bottom pricing, these aren't worth buying. You get basic white corn triangles with supposedly sea salt seasoning that's basically invisible. Texture is structurally decent with okay thickness, but completely forgettable. Taste is the real disaster, dreadfully bland with salt that feels like an afterthought or light dusting at best. The most frustrating part is that construction holds up physically, but there's zero flavor to justify eating them. Price is the only selling point at $2.29, making these the cheapest option. But here's where it gets rough. Taste testers called them bland as, hell, the zombie of tortilla chips, and said they taste like misery. One reviewer warned to only serve it to your enemies, calling this a breakup chip. The bag claims sea salt flavoring, but reviewers say you barely get a hint of the stuff. Every other chip on this list delivers more flavor, even the grain-free disasters. Generic store brands like Signature Select exist purely as budget options for price-conscious shoppers who grab whatever's cheapest. They succeed through strategic shelf placement next to name brands and banking on customers not caring enough to spend an extra dollar. The reality is they're counting on you being too broke or too rushed to notice you're buying flavorless sadness. At $2.29, you're paying for the privilege of eating cardboard-flavored disappointment. When multiple reviewers independently describe your chips as misery and zombies, you've created something that fails at the most basic level. But if you think bland nothingness is bad, wait until you meet the chip that's all gimmick and no substance. If this is already saving you from a bad snack purchase, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's next. Number 5. Tostitos Scoops. Frito-Lay launched Tostitos Scoops in the 1990s as an innovation on the traditional flat chip, marketing them as the ultimate dip delivery vehicle. The bowl shape was clever, more salsa per chip, they promised. Too bad the structural integrity is so catastrophically bad that these chips disintegrate before they reach your mouth. The bowl-shaped design sounds great in theory, but the execution is a structural engineering disaster. Texture offers zero integrity. Testers literally said, quote, "I could sneeze and these would disintegrate in my hand." Taste is bland and functional, existing purely as a vehicle for dips with no flavor of its own. Construction is the fatal flaw. Despite being marketed for dipping, they break constantly under any weight. 140 calories and 105 milligrams of sodium, 5% of daily value per 12 chips. Standard Frito-Lay pricing means you're paying $3 to $4 for chips that can't handle guacamole. Reviews consistently mention they break rather easily and are no good for nachos or guacamole. One taste test concluded the cons far outweigh the pros entirely because of structural failure. Regular Tostitos are bland, but at least they don't fall apart in your hand. This is pure marketing gimmick designed to make you think you're getting more salsa per chip. Frito-Lay is banking on novelty shape and brand recognition to sell a fundamentally broken product. They know most consumers will grab the familiar Tostitos logo without realizing they're buying chips that can't survive contact with dip. You're paying full price for a structural engineering disaster disguised as innovation, when your chip's defining feature is a shape that makes it worse at the one job it was designed to do. Something has gone catastrophically wrong. Number 4. Tostitos Original Restaurant Style. Launched in the 1980s as Frito-Lay's flagship tortilla chip product, Tostitos Original Restaurant Style has become America's default tortilla chip through pure market dominance. America's Test Kitchen even ranked these number 1, which one food writer called absolutely insane. The crunch is admittedly wonderful and satisfying, but that's literally all these chips have going for them. You get large, flat, triangular white corn chips with an audible, satisfying crunch that sounds better than it tastes. Texture delivers perfect crispy snap, but the experience ends there. Taste is bland as hell. No real fatty flavor, muted corn taste, inadequate saltiness across the board. Construction is consistent but too thin, leading to breaks despite the impressive size. 140 calories and approximately 115 milligrams sodium per serving. Price at $3 to $4 per standard bag. Mid-range pricing for bottom-tier flavor. The takeout described these as more functional than delicious and bland as hell, especially compared to the top 5. Reviewers note the crunch is audible and satisfying, but there's no adequate saltiness, and flavor is muted at best. Ubiquitous doesn't mean good. These succeed on brand recognition, not quality. Tostitos survives purely on brand dominance, grocery store ubiquity, and consumer autopilot purchasing. They market these as restaurant style, despite tasting nothing like actual restaurant tortilla chips. Frito-Lay knows most shoppers grab the familiar bag without thinking, so there's zero incentive to improve the recipe. The soundtrack is perfect, but the movie is terrible. All crunch with absolutely zero flavor. America's most successful mediocre chip proves that marketing budgets beat quality every single time. But here's where it gets interesting, because the next chip takes a different approach to disappointing you. Number 3, Mission Tortilla Strips. Made by tortilla giant Gruma Corporation since 1997, Mission Tortilla Strips represent the company's attempt to leverage their tortilla business into the chip aisle. The long, wavy strip shape is designed for jar dipping convenience, they claim. What you actually get is a one-dimensional salt bomb in an impractical format. These are long, narrow, wavy strips instead of traditional triangles. The shape is more annoying than helpful. Texture is thick enough to handle dips with decent crunch, but nothing special. Taste is aggressively one note. Reviewers say these taste only like salt, not very much like corn. The corn flavor is completely muted. Construction creates problems. Too long and narrow means poor surface area for nachos, awkward for dipping. 140 calories and 90 milligrams of sodium, 4% of daily value per 12 strips, priced at $3.19 on Amazon too. $84 at Walmart per 11-ounce bag. Customer ratings average 3.45 stars, with only 63% given 4 or 5 stars. Aggressively mediocre. The takeout noted they're salted very well, almost too well, and taste only like salt. Better than store brands, but that's setting the bar underground. Mission is made by the same company that dominates the tortilla market, so they're banking on brand recognition transferring to chips. The strip shape is designed for jar dipping convenience, prioritizing form over function or flavor. They're counting on the Mission name and shape novelty to move products that deliver zero complexity beyond salt. You're paying $3 for a salt delivery system that forgot to bring the corn. When the shape is the most interesting thing about your chip, you've created the snack equivalent of a participation trophy. Which brings us to the chip that actually delivers on the promise every other brand makes. And if you're finding this ranking useful, hit the like button. It really helps the channel cut through the noise. Number 2, Santitas White, corn tortilla chips. Santitas, which means Little Saints in Spanish, are Frito-Lay's black sheep product. Less promoted than Tostitos, but loved by those who discover them. Launched to deliver Mexican-inspired taste with just 3 ingredients: corn, oil, and salt. These consistently rank in the top 3 across professional taste tests. At $2.99 printed right on the bag, they're proof that budget doesn't mean bad. You get white corn triangles with a homemade look, featuring ample blistering that creates texture and structure. Texture is thin, but the bubbles and blisters create surprising sturdiness. One tester called them sturdy as hell. Taste is deliciously salty and toasty with strong corn flavor. Salt is present enough that you can feel granules on your fingers. Construction holds up impressively well to heavy dips despite appearing delicate. 140 calories and 90 milligrams of sodium, 4% of daily value. Per 12 chips, same as competitors but better flavor. $2.99 printed on bag, but often found for $2.29 to $2.79. Exceptional value. Ranked 3rd in Chowhound's 15 chip test. Runner-up in multiple other professional rankings. Reviews praise the toasty flavor, satisfying crunch, and note the blistering creates sturdier effect overall. These punch way above their price point, delivering quality that matches chips costing twice as much. Santitas are the black sheep of the Frito-Lay family, not widely promoted or distributed in every state, with popularity eclipsed by Tostitos. They target price-conscious shoppers and Latino markets with actual quality instead of marketing hype. The 3-ingredient simplicity is their strength. Proof that Frito-Lay knows how to make good chips. They just choose not to with their flagship brand. Little Saints, performing budget miracles in every bag. At under $3, these prove that quality and affordability aren't mutually exclusive. You just have to ignore the brand Frito-Lay actually promotes. Number 1, On the Border Cafe style. Born from the popularity of chips and salsa at On the Border restaurant chain locations, Cafe-style chips leverage actual restaurant credibility instead of just slapping restaurant style on the bag. Made with a mix of yellow and white corn for complexity, these consistently rank number one in head-to-head professional taste tests. What makes this particularly impressive is they actually taste like they came from a restaurant, not a factory. You get medium thickness triangles made from a blend of yellow and white corn. The mix creates complexity most single corn chips can't touch. Texture hits the perfect balance, substantial without being thick, crispy with slight, satisfying chew. Taste delivers balanced corn flavor that's both earthy and savory in equal measure with proper salt throughout. Construction is rock solid, sturdy for heavy dips, holds together for loaded nachos, consistent from bag to bag. Nutritional profile is well balanced. Not the lowest or highest in calories or sodium, but optimized for flavor. Price ranges from $2 to $4 depending on variety and retailer. Mid-range for top-tier quality. The Takeout declared these represent everything a tortilla chip should be and crowned them number one. Reviews consistently praise the balanced corn flavor, perfect seasoning, and note they're earthy and savory in equal measure. These beat Siete, Santitas, Juanitos, and Destroy Tostitos in direct comparisons. On the Border succeeds by leveraging the restaurant's actual reputation for Tex-Mex authenticity instead of making empty promises. The yellow and white corn blend creates complexity that single corn chips can't match. They win because they're the only major brand that actually delivers what restaurant style is supposed to mean. This is the chip Tostitos wishes it could be and what every other brand pretends to deliver. When you actually taste restaurant quality corn flavor, proper seasoning, and structural integrity in one bag, you realize how low the bar has been set. Your chip choices don't have to be a gamble between paying premium prices for grain-free disasters or settling for bland cardboard just because it's cheap. Here's what this ranking really reveals. The tortilla chip market is flooded with brands banking on marketing hype, nostalgia, and your unwillingness to try something different. From the ground up and Siete prove that healthy alternatives often mean expensive regret. Signature, Select, and Tostitos show that cheap and ubiquitous don't equal smart purchases. But Santitas and On the Border prove something more important. Quality exists at every price point when brands actually care about flavor. You don't need to spend $4 on cassava chips or settle for salted cardboard. You just need to ignore the brands with the biggest marketing budgets and grab the ones that actually deliver. The takeaway? Price doesn't predict quality, and grain-free doesn't mean better. The best chips combine proper corn flavor, structural integrity, and balanced seasoning. And both our top picks do exactly that. Hit subscribe if this changed how you'll shop for chips, and drop a comment telling us which ranking you think we got wrong.